Okay, we'll start. Thank you, listeners from around the world. We are at the Cricket Show USA, and today we are humble to welcome legendary voice from India, Charu Sharma, been commentator for a long time. He is one of the voices where the cricket fans around the world know him very well, the way he covers the game. And as I said, it's a legendary voice in Indian cricket. And today we are bringing him for a quick chat, especially about him, his cricket journey, his cricket contribution, and at the moment, how he is being involved or how he is helping the game overall. And then we'll definitely jump into couple of questions on recently concluded IPL auction, where he is one of the auctioneer, we call it, the person who make a final call about decision making on player contracts. So welcome Charu Sharma from India. Thanks for joining us today. And I would like to have you a brief moment or take your time to introduce yourself and tell us about us. Besides me, I have the panelist, Leon Francis is a USA Cricket's president and founder of the show about 11 years back. And since then, this is the journey. We are covering this radio every Sunday, 6 to 9 p.m. in US. But because of the Super Bowl tonight, we are doing this segment a little bit early today. And also I have the Dennis Heath. He's from the Los Angeles. And he's also one of the member and the panelists. So those will be the only two people besides me going to interact with Charu Sharma. So welcome, Charu Sharma. And I'd like to have your opportunity to introduce yourself to the cricket show.
Jatin, thanks so much. It's such a privilege. And Leon and Dennis, many thanks. You've been very kind and generous in your comments, Jatin, already, and I will certainly not take long. I have been, I've had the good fortune of being a sports person myself for very long, and for the last 40 years, sports broadcaster. I began my broadcasting journey with the first big moment, crossing a big threshold in India when color television came in for the 9th Asian Games, which was back in 1982, and I've been really delighted to be a part of the sporting world as a broadcaster, and of course, for many other angles in sport ever since then. And I was fortunate, of course, to be in the cricket world all these years. Play a bit of cricket myself, as all of us do. Love the game. And in our part of the world, Jatin and Leon, Dennis, as you know, cricket is religion. So it's great to be involved with the game. It does bring a lot of joy. We've had the IPL auction just conclude. I wasn't meant to be the auctioneer, although I'm a professional auctioneer, but they had another one, a gentleman from the UK who sadly got rather unwell. There was a small incident, I think within the first couple of hours yesterday. And they quickly gave me a call and said, would you like to fill in? Very lucky. Well, I've been unlucky because I hurt my shoulder. So I haven't been playing golf and tennis and whatever else. I was sitting at home having lunch with my family. They said, can you come over right now? I said, yeah. And that's how one also got very deeply involved with the IPL auction. But otherwise, I've had a wonderful journey so far. And it's a privilege to be with Jatin, you, Leon, Dennis, to be on the show. You've been holding it for the last 11 years, I believe. That's a lot of hard work, a lot of water under the bridge. And I would be most pleased to have a longer chat with you as soon as you wish to get into it. Great to be on the show.
Leon, you're welcome to the show, and let's take it over from here. I like to have the Leon to moderate this show from here on, and me and Dennis will be joining hands for the show.
Leon? We can't hear Leon, Jatin.
Okay, that's fine. Dennis, go ahead. Dennis, introduce yourself, and let's move on with the queries and questions with the Charu.
Okay, I just want to know confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, you're all good.
Oh, yes, Mr. Sharma, good morning, or is it afternoon where you are? I'm delighted that you're able to join us today. You have a very long history of involvement in cricket, and personally, I've also had a history of sorts in that I started playing at the age of 11, 12, right through till now I'm retired. I played the game, I umpired the game, I've been a secretary of the Umpires Association, and now in my later years, I'm part of the cricket show here in the United States with Leon and JT as panelists. But I was fortunate enough to be able to observe a small portion of the IPL draft on a couple of days ago. And the factor that arises in my mind, not having seen this before, is how was the base price set for each of these very talented players that were in this draft? Can you enlighten me just a little bit?
Sure. I was not privy to the exact system, but it does follow a pattern where the senior players, or the capped players, as it were, start off obviously on the highest level. It also has to do with mutual agreement between the players, because at various levels, the players have to agree to it. And the players themselves then choose those categories. And some of them, of course, chose a very high category, a high base price, and unfortunately did not get taken in by any team. The youngest players, the uncapped players, have a base price of 20 lakhs, which is 2 million Indian rupees. And that is the base for just about every player. So we range from that to 10 times that of 200 million rupees for the senior players, but not more. And of course, those who do get taken by teams often go up to 5-10 times their base price, or even much more. But it's decided between the cricket board, the IPL committee, and the players as well. The players' consent is necessary.
Thank you so much. Now, the question that follows from that is, why or how does the actual price paid in a contract to each player for that season, how does that affect the major playing countries in terms of their star players coming out here to play, seemingly coming out to play in the IPL, seemingly at times maybe to ignore their own national player? Any feedback, any comeback that you've heard of in regards to that? Is it the high price that's keeping them away?
Well, some of them for sure. But it's also professional pride. There's this country versus club debate that's gone on in many major sports for very long. And the traditionalists, if I may call them that, it's not that I'm not one, obviously always favor country over the club. But for many sports now, the minute you turn more and more professional, and there's more, remuneration, should we say, the leagues get more lucrative, then that decision becomes more and more difficult. Because after all, let's not forget, Dennis, that a professional sportsman does like to earn a livelihood through that sport. And if the country is offering a big enough paycheck, then people would not want to go to professional leagues. But the leagues do offer a very large paycheck, and they do reward performance. And I'm afraid this will continue to be a mix of wanting and hoping to play for the country, where there's a certain amount of remuneration, and whenever possible, hoping to play professional leagues as well. Because as you can understand, maybe 15, 18, 20 people do qualify to play for the country. But in professional leagues, that number goes up to 200, depending on the width of the league, number of teams, and so on and so forth. So obviously, many more players can be absorbed in a professional league, not only in one country, but many other countries now offering professional league opportunities. And therefore, it's difficult for players in cricket too to now say, I will play only for my country, because obviously you don't play that many matches. You want to maximize your earnings because, as you know, Dennis, most sports persons have a short shelf life. Now, if I'm going to play 5, 7, 8 years of my best cricket at that point of time, I will want to maximize my opportunities, maximize my play, maximize my revenue. So it's difficult to hold that against the players if they wish to try and have a sort of a mix between country and club.
Thank you. And if I still have the floor, I want to have another question for you. We were very fortunate to witness the cricket under ICC Under-19 World Cup out here in the Caribbean. And there were quite a number of talented players, specifically referring to the Indian players there were quite a number of talented players that we saw. There were talks here locally and perhaps in the press that some of these young talented players that were on display here would be playing in the IPL this summer. Is there any truth to that rumor? And can you perhaps, give us an indication of which of the many players is currently being looked at for the IPL?
Well, it's gone well beyond looked at, Dennis, because they are all, well, some of them actually absorbed into teams, and one or two of them at a very, very generous price band. In fact, Bawa, who was the man of the match in the final against England, he played a few very good innings before that as well, went for 200, well, that's 20 million Indian rupees, if I'm getting my conversion right. So he was certainly very much in demand because of his all-round skills. So to the Indian under-19 captain, Yash Dhul went for a reasonable amount, and 2 or 3 others. So not all uniformly, but some of the top performers did go for large sums into teams. Now, we don't know how much they will get in terms of playing time, but they are absorbed into IPL teams. And we just hope for 2 things. One, that they'll get a massive amount of experience sharing the dressing room with some of the biggest players in the world. And 2, that despite the lucrative contracts that come their way, they will be well managed, and it will not get to their head because they still have so much to look forward to. They're only 19 years old. But you can't hold it against them. If teams wish to have them in their squads, so be it. And I do think the experience will be invaluable. There is no under-19 player or no player on earth, or certainly in India, who does not wish to be a part of an IPL franchise, because there is so much learning, sitting in the dressing room and spending time, maybe 2.5 months with the legends of the game. And yes, some of the under-19 players have been absorbed, 2 or 3 at very generous sums.
Well, I'm quite delighted to hear that. The question follows that, does the IPL group or franchises have a requirement to actually accept the youth player, the younger players coming through the system, or do they do this as a matter of self-interest in terms of growing new talents, new recruits for later years? And I ask this question because there is a similar IPL type of structure in the Caribbean. And I was reading recently that the IPL franchise owners down here in the Caribbean are thinking of abolishing the incorporation of associate players. So the question then, going back to you, is there a specific rule in the IPL franchises to absorb younger upcoming players, or was this done out of their own self-interest and growth?
Dennis, to begin with, the IPL did force feed under-19 players in every team, and that was certainly with an eye to developing a younger generation for the same reasons I mentioned just a short while back, the exposure. But to the best of my knowledge, that does not exist as a diktat anymore. It's much more the wish of each individual team. Do they want youngsters in their squad? And most of them do, with now, differently from earlier, with an eye of developing the next line of potential stars. So to the best of my knowledge, it is not compulsory, or whatever else the word is now. But most teams do have junior squads from where they will probably pick later. I don't want to get into the complications of squad collection or squad selection for each team, because there's a fair amount of complexity there. As you know, it's a mix of overseas players, Indian players, and there's a limit, 18 being the minimum, 25 being the maximum. But all teams do have a very keen eye on scouting talent, on trying to obtain as young a talent as possible, who can then grow with the franchise. We still have an auction system here, not a draft, as you were mentioning, where the purse available for each team is the same. It's a level playing field, and they retain a few players, they have a little bit of money left, and they go out and get the rest of their players in an auction, where once again, the opportunity to obtain players is equal. And it's a bias-free system. It's not mature just yet. 2 new teams, as you may know, Dennis, have been added to the IPL this year. the Tata IPL. And therefore, the system of auctioning players with all teams having the same amount of money, same amount of opportunity is not so bad. It might seem imperfect, but it's not bad at all when new teams are added on. And later, of course, when the maturity of a league happens, then there will be trading and maybe the auction will disappear. But for now, the need necessarily is to obtain players, develop them as a part of the team, and hopefully retain them at their market prices in the future.
Thank you. I'll try one more and allow Leon to come in. And it follows from your segue about increasing the IPL total number of teams this year. The question is, having increased the IPL team numbers, I'm almost sure that you'll probably be looking at another increase next year, 2 years from now, and so on. But the amount of games being played as a result of that, does that start to eat into the playing time available for national, international, and local, other local tournaments taking place? And are you getting any pushback from the major test playing countries for this?
Dennis, that is a good question. As far as the IPL timing is concerned, it's primarily suited for players from India. The normal timings end March to maybe sometime in May, when there is very little or no domestic cricket in India. It all ends at the end of winter, which is the end of March. So for Indians, it's a fabulous time. It doesn't really clash with too much. But yes, I mean, internationally, as you well know, the ICC has been, that's the International Cricket Council, has been happy for various reasons to accept that the IPL needs to be given a large enough window. Now, you mentioned that there'll be more matches. Yes, minimally, they are trying to work different formats out, but I don't think they're going to add to the teams as you suggested very soon, because 10 is pretty much the maximum. Maybe they might get to 12 or many years from now, but not more, because the larger number of teams, you're right, the larger number of matches, and you don't quite have the time, because the Indians may, but the international players have various other commitments. And over the years, there have been many international players from many countries who really have not had the time because of country commitments, or perhaps injury or whatever else, or saving themselves for country battles. So this difficulty in getting time from overseas players in terms of their full availability is always going to be a problem. But there are many overseas players in every team, and they will hedge their bets. Only 4 can play in the playing 11. If they have 9, 10 overseas players, they'll say, all right, well, these 4 or 5 can come in now. They will overlap with some other players, and then some others will come, these will leave, and this delicate balance will go on. But yes, the international community will continue to find it more and more difficult to make that amount of time free for the IPL. But, you know, the remuneration is pretty high. So it's a huge attractor. And most people will want to try and spare as much time as possible for the IPL, despite the fact that there are other bits of cricket going on.
Thank you so much. Coach Jatin, is Leon available? Do we have Leon?
Leon, are you there? I can see his video, but not sure he's on. But anyway, I can jump in. For the listeners, we have the legendary voice of Indian cricket and famous commentator in many sports, not just cricket only. Mr. Charu Sharma is here today, who was a part of the recent IPL auction. And for the listeners, we are talking this currency as a little bit confusing if you are in North and South Central America. So I like to give you the 2 important formulas. Number 1, Indian currency is about 75 times than the US dollar. Means $1 equal to almost 75 rupees in India. It's a matter of zeros, I call it. So if the Indian people says it's 10 million Indian rupees, means it's a 1 million. So it's a 10 times. There's a 1 0 off. So when they say 1 million, it's actually 100,000. But again, don't forget the second formula, 1 times 75. That's a key. So Leon, are you still there? I just see him walking up. By the way, for the listeners, today is another great opportunity. We don't want to hold too long, Mr. Charu Sharma, because in India, it's almost close to midnight and he is being tired. from the all-day auction. So we don't want to have him
Thank you.
collapse like the other guy did. But I can announce this good opportunity. 2 years back, I was fortunate on the same day on the Super Bowl, I launched a Spanish program for Central and South Africa, and it was a success. It's still ongoing. We are improving, trying to day by day. It's been 2 years under the corona, so there's a little bit stalled program in terms of the momentum. But today is the great day, another great day, Super Bowl. That's, I believe, of there is designed. I can say we will be hearing Charu Sharma more often in US cricket soon, because he is joining our Cricket Hall of Fame, Who is Who Cricket project with me, where I am the co-founder and the chairperson to lead that program. And it's a global program. And we are drawing a lot of attention from outside world. And I know the Charu just said, like I usually say, like cricket is a religion, but for me, it's not just religion. I married to cricket first, so I have the second wife too. And then cricket is in my blood. How about that? So it's not just, but welcome you, brother, for this show. We will let you go for today with the closing remarks, because I know you'll be tired for the all day. But welcome to the show again. We'll bring you time to time on the show whenever we have time. But before we say goodbye, I like to have opportunity to give you the closing remarks, whatever you want to say to our fans and listeners around the world.
Jatin, thank you so much again for the opportunity. I must congratulate you and all your entire team for getting this Cricket Hall of Fame project off, because I can only imagine the kind of hard work that you and your team have been doing to make this project fructify, to make it happen. I'm sure it must have been a dream. Leon, what a shame that we couldn't be speaking with you today, but Dennis, thank you for your company. I do hugely look forward to assisting you, Jatin, in your Hall of Fame effort. We know that major sports in the world, most of the major sports, do have a very recognized, a very visible, a very respected, reputed Hall of Fame. Football does, tennis does, golf does. Why not cricket? And why not you? And why not the USA? Because after all, the Cricket World Cup is coming to the USA. I'm sure that in USA, there's a massive amount of expectation and excitement for more cricket to happen in the US. It's been a hard struggle all these decades trying to establish another sport in a country where it has not been a major sport. I understand all the roadblocks and the difficulties, but you, Jatin, have been a fabulous soldier, a general really by now, to try and take the sport forward. And you need all the assistance you can get. Now, the US market may be a little tricky for a lot of people to understand, but you know it well, and I wish you well and all your associates as well. The least I can do is try and assist you with all the efforts and take the Hall of Fame particularly forward. And perhaps every once in a while, when you wish to have a chat, quite happy to contribute to the radio show. But I do want to wish all the listeners of your radio show, all those interested in the cricket world, to please stay with it, support the right people, back the right people. Let's get more attention to the sport in the US and in that part of the world. Let's get more commercial circles going. That's how the game's going to grow. If I do happen to be in the US, whenever, Jatin, that's a leading question. I will be most happy to do whatever one can to spread the cricket message. Thank you once again, Jatin, Dennis, Leon. What a shame we couldn't speak. And look forward to such opportunities to chat with your listeners again and again. Thank you, Jatin.
So thank you, Charu. On conclusion, all I can say for you and our listeners that the Cricket Show USA is a strong partner for Cricket Hall of Fame. A lot of people don't know, but the Cricket Hall of Fame originally started way back in 1963 under the Sportsman Club in Connecticut, before the USA became the associate member with the ICC in 1965. And in 1981, they are the first one to introduce Cricket Hall of Fame in USA, just like the first game played in USA way back in 1844, right? We talk about it, but now the momentum is picking up, and there's a who is who in cricket, which will involve to recognize, award, and honor almost everyone out there involved in cricket. And again, this is the first initiative, unique, and most likely it will help a lot of people around the world. With the say, I will say, Charu Sharma, thank you for your time today, and you'll be definitely coming US. I don't know how soon but just put your on calendar. The trip is as your bucket list. Okay, it's your not wish list, and I will say, let's see you soon. Till then, goodbye, and we will love to welcome you again in future. So,
Thank you so much. I've
Can
penciled
I
my
say
visit in. I
goodbye,
look
please?
forward to. Yes, of course, Dennis. Please.
Yes,
go ahead.
I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I appreciate you taking the time out. I understand that you're dressed for bed, and I should say to you, I am actually just out of bed myself, hence my particular apparel. And so, you know, you're about to end your day, and I'm about to start my day, and I appreciate your taking the time out. Great
Charu, by the way,
speaking
Dennis
with
is in
you.
Los Angeles, so he's 3 hours behind.
Ah.
So he's like 9:30 in the morning.
Thank
But anyway,
correct.
good to
All
see you,
right.
brother, today, and we'll catch up again sometime soon. Thank you.
you. Thank
Pleasant-
you. Good night.
Pleasant
good,
dream.
thank you. Thank you, Dennis. And well, have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye, Jatin.
Bye-bye.
Dennis, you can stay.
I'm sorry?
You can stay.
Yes, okay.
I'm trying to figure out with Leon.
I just had a quick call from Leon. I wasn't able to take it because it was in the middle of our discussion. I'm wondering if he's having difficulty getting in onto the Zoom.